What are the big factors for who's going to win Sunday night's matchup? Florida State, LSU, in Orlando. Going to be an absolute movie. I can't wait to watch this one. If last year's game is any indication of what this year's game is going to be, it's going to go down to the wire. Going to be two heavyweight fighters going at it. We're going to predict this game on Tuesday. So 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on our live show. Subscribe so you don't miss it. We're predicting this game. I don't know who I'm picking just yet, to be 100% honest with you. But when it comes to this game, what are the big factors? Like I was saying a second ago. Well, I'm glad you asked. The first matchup, probably the most obvious matchup that's going to get the most buzz, is the Florida State receiving corps versus these transfer portal corners of LSU. Now, it's no secret. They got them on stars for Florida State. Keon Coleman, transfer from Michigan State. I think he's set to have an enormous season. His blend of size and go up and get it ability is just, it's rare. They love what he's done in fall camp so far. They said he's just been phenomenal. So all good returns so far out of Tallahassee. Johnny Wilson, get a lot of grief because I always say he's like 10 feet tall. Dude is very, very tall. I believe he's about 6'7". So good luck trying to guard that man-to-man. Now for LSU, like I said, two transfer corners. So it's not like you're playing two corners that have a boatload of experience in the SEC and they're battle tested. They're battle tested in their own right, and they're at LSU for a reason. I promise you that. Brian Kelly has confidence in those guys. But even so, I'm curious about Deuce Chestnut transferring from Syracuse and Zy Alexander transferring from the FCS level for LSU. How do they look early on in this one? Because if Jordan Travis is able to just kind of get a rhythm and start putting the ball on the top shelf where the kids can't get it for one of those wide receivers, I didn't even talk about Jaheim Bell, didn't even talk about Kyle Morlock and what they could be. I start to worry about how this game could go for LSU, because that means that LSU would have to match scores. And I don't think it's a matter of, do they have the guys to do it? I'm worried about them getting into rhythm from the jump, because that's what would have to happen if they don't have what they need in the secondary, and if they're making that matchup be a thing where they're just getting taken advantage of, to be honest with you. Because I think Florida State and these receivers, I think they're going to get theirs. The thing that I'm watching in this matchup is when it comes to the fourth quarter, close game, right? And Florida State is going to go for it on 4th and 3. And they're going to put the ball out to Keon Coleman. Can the LSU corner, whoever it is, make a play on the football in that moment, even if they've gotten beat a couple times before, even if Keon Coleman already has 100 yards in the game and a touchdown at that point? Can they make the play in that moment to be able to keep LSU rolling? Because I think it'll be a close game. Regardless of who we pick, I think it'll be a close game. So if Florida State can put pressure on LSU to figure it out offensively and to be explosive and to be able to match scores, it would be because of what this receiving corps does. Now, another thing to watch in this game, another big factor. Talked about it all offseason. We're going to keep talking about it. What is the psyche of both these teams? Because Florida State now, a lot of people, you've seen their college football playoff predictions. It's not uncommon to see Florida State in the mix there. And they've earned that. They have earned the right to be talked about in the light they're being talked about right now. But to the exact same point, that is a bit of a new thing for this team in the Mike Norvell era. This time last year, we're talking about, is Mike Norvell even the right guy at Florida State? Is he going to be there after this season? And now we're talking about them being a college football playoff team. So the buzz around this Florida State team has switched a lot, obviously, from this year to last year. And how they handle that, how you handle being talked about, is going to really impact this first game. Because you can take all that buzz and all that excitement and channel it and say, okay, let's go prove it. Haven't done anything yet, let's go prove it. And channel that to be motivation and produce a positive result on the field. Or you can start to listen to it and say, man, we're good, baby. We're ready to roll. We're good for this. You hear how we're getting talked about? Forget about it. And it can cause you to be a little bit complacent. So I'm not predicting either side of that. I'm just saying I'm very interested to see how Florida State handles that. Because LSU, kind of a similar conversation around them. A lot of buzz, but we saw different versions of this team from game to game. And LSU fans, the reason why you feel so confident going into this game is because of what you were after this game last year. You feel like the way that you played Florida State last year and not even being at your final form, not even being the team that you were when it came to October, November, and when you beat Alabama and all that, like, you feel like you got much better after this game. And so now you're saying, okay, we are that team. We do think we can win this game. We believe we're going to win this game. So that's one thing to say. It's a whole other thing to pick up where you left off last year and to start right out of the gate, game one, be in attack mode. Now, they got the guys. I understand no Mason Smith. That's a huge loss. But even so, I think you feel like you're in a good spot from a roster standpoint. Jaden Daniels playing quarterback for you. Like, you like where you are this year compared to last year heading into this game, because a lot of it's going to be about applying pressure. Some numbers here. LSU against Florida State in 2022. LSU had 0 sacks in this game a season ago. 0 sacks. Now, keep in mind, Harold Perkins had not yet stepped into a role for this LSU defense, and we all know what he did last year, especially in the back half. If you are unaware, I would encourage you to go watch some highlights from that Arkansas game and just enjoy the clinic that Harold Perkins puts forth in that game. So if LSU is able to apply pressure, they're able to get to Jordan Travis and make him uncomfortable, that would be huge, because it would help the secondary out, like we talked about at the front end of this thing. That'll be a key matchup. But even more so, I'm curious if they can make Florida State unbalanced, because Florida State, that's been kind of their bread and butter. They want to run the football first based on the percentage of how often they ran it a season ago. But, like, make no mistake, they want to be multiple. They want to keep you guessing. They want to stay ahead of the sticks, which is a cliche. Everyone wants to stay ahead of the sticks, but that was one of the reasons why I think Florida State was so good last year, because Jordan Travis is setting up shop in 2nd and 6, is able to distribute the football, and the defense was able to, or rather not able to, really be able to key on some tendencies, if you will. There was very little tendency last year for Florida State. Now you add the personnel. If you can apply pressure to Jordan Travis, he will be able to pick you apart. And I think we've seen that from him to this point. Now for Florida State, other side of the coin in this game last year, they had 4 sacks in last year's game against LSU. 4 sacks. Jared Verse had 2 of those. We all got introduced to what he was last year in this game. But for LSU, like, the offensive line in this game a season ago, it was like musical chairs. Like, you were playing some young bucks throughout really the first half of the season. It was like pick a name out of the hat, and I guess you're starting on the offensive line this week. Like, it was that kind of a feel. Now, this coming season, you feel much better about where you stand. Will Campbell going to be rocking the number 7 patch on his jersey. Side note, if Devin Brown as a quarterback can wear 33 at Ohio State, get my man Will Campbell in a single-digit jersey. Get him in number 7 at tackle, man. I want to see that. Okay, so that's neither here nor there. You feel much better about the offensive line. From a pass protection standpoint, yes, but even from a running the ball standpoint. Last year in this game, LSU ran for 139 yards. 114 of those were Jaden Daniels. If I remember correctly, a fair percentage of those were him ad-libbing, escaping pressure. Hey, I got a grown man running after me here. He got free way too early. I got to go make something happen with my feet. If they can be more balanced offensively, same thing I was saying with Florida State, when LSU could be multiple running the football, last year we saw them be dynamic because the pass game opened up. You got the running game involved a little bit in the running back room. Can they get a push up there? Can they be able to, again, same thing we were saying with Florida State, can they keep them off balance? That's going to be huge. Whoever can create the most balance offensively and keep the opposition from applying pressure to keep them from creating balance, I think that's going to be an enormous, enormous factor in this football game and in the final score. Because if they don't protect Jaden Daniels, if they don't figure it out on the offensive line and look how we expect them to look, Jared Verse will once again eat their lunch. You don't want that if you're an LSU fan. In this game, it is playoff mode right away. Right away. And some people are saying, well, is it playoff mode? Because you can still drop one and find a way to make the college football playoff. I hear you. But with what these teams have to do after this game, LSU have to play an SEC schedule. Florida State, you got to go play Clemson. You don't want to climb that hill with a loss for either of these teams. So right off the bat, week 1, Sunday night in Orlando, we have got a playoff kind of game. A lot of big factors playing into this one. Make sure you're subscribed. We will pick this game live. We're going to do it live Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. So Florida State fans, LSU fans, make sure you're subscribed. If you haven't yet joined the party, no time like the present. If you haven't subscribed, you think you're subscribed, maybe just double check. Make sure you got that subscribe button hit. We appreciate you so much in advance. We love y'all. Like I said, we appreciate y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.